Welcome to Fazza Poetry World, where hearts turn into poetry. Tonight, the silence is louder than ever. Not because the world has stopped speaking, but because one heart has finally broken in a way that even words struggle to carry. She stood there, not as a queen, not as a name people whisper about, but as a woman. A woman who loved too deeply, waited too patiently, and believed, maybe a little too blindly. The palace walls once knew her laughter. Every corridor echoed her footsteps, every window held a memory, every corner, a dream she built with him. But now those same walls feel distant, cold, unfamiliar. Like they never belonged to her at all. She didn't just leave a place, she left a life. A life where she thought love was permanent, where promises felt unbreakable, where forever didn't sound like a lie. And when she walked out, she didn't carry anger, she carried silence. Because sometimes, pain grows so deep that even tears refuse to come out. He said nothing. And sometimes, nothing hurts more than the cruelest words. She kept asking herself, was I not enough? Was my love too quiet? Did I lose him, or did I never truly have him? But the truth, love doesn't always leave loudly. Sometimes it fades, while you're still holding onto it. There were nights she stayed awake, staring at her phone, waiting for his name to appear. Just one call, one message, one sign that she still mattered. But the screen stayed dark. And in that darkness, her thoughts became her enemy. What if he's with her? What if he smiles the way he used to smile at me? What if I've already been replaced? These questions didn't scream. They whispered. Slowly. Painfully. Relentlessly. And whispers are the hardest to escape. So she turned to the only place where broken hearts still find answers. Not people, not love, but God. Ya Allah. She whispered one night, with trembling hands and tired eyes, if this love is written for me, keep it. And if it's not, give me the strength to let it go. Because deep down, she knew something most people don't. That not every love story is meant to stay, but every love story is meant to teach. She remembered his words, how easily he said I love you. How naturally she believed them. But now those same words felt incomplete. Like a sentence without meaning, like a promise without truth. She didn't want grand gestures. She didn't want attention. She didn't want a performance. She just wanted certainty. A love that doesn't confuse you. A love that doesn't make you question your worth. A love that doesn't feel shared. Because real love doesn't divide. It chooses. And she was tired. Tired of feeling like a choice instead of a priority. There was another silence too, not hers. The silence of the other woman. No words. No explanations. No defense. Just quiet, like a shadow that exists, but never speaks. And maybe that silence held its own kind of pain. Because sometimes, the loudest battles, are the ones no one sees. But she refused to compete. Because love is not a stage. And hearts are not trophies. I will not perform for love. She told herself. I will not fight for a place that should already be mine. And in that moment, something changed inside her. Not her love. Her strength. Because she realized, the kind of love she gave was never weak. It was pure. It was patient. It was real. And real love doesn't need to prove itself. It simply exists. She reached the shore. Not by shouting, not by chasing, not by pretending to be something she's not, but by being herself. And maybe that's what hurt the most. That she gave him everything without losing herself, yet still lost him. But listen carefully. Losing someone does not mean losing your worth. And walking away does not mean you failed. Sometimes, it means you finally understood what you deserve. So on that day, a day meant for celebration, for unity, for pride, her heart quietly broke, in the middle of a crowd. He didn't look at her. Didn't speak. Didn't care. And that moment it told her everything. His words never could. Because love is not in what we say. It's in what we show. And he showed nothing. So she wrote. Not to be heard. Not to be seen. But to survive. Because when your heart is too full, words become your only escape. And every line she wrote wasn't just poetry. It was pain. It was truth. It was love, still trying to breathe. I gave my heart to God. Because humans failed to protect it. I trusted destiny. Because control was never hers. I loved without noise. Because real love doesn't beg to be noticed. And maybe, just maybe, that was her greatest strength. Not that she loved him, but that she loved him without losing her soul. So if you're listening to this, if you've ever felt ignored, replaced, or quietly broken, remember this: you are not hard to love. You are not too much. You are not the problem. The wrong person will always make you question your worth. But the right one, they will remind you of it, every single day. And one day, you won't have to wait for a message, or wonder where you stand, or compete for attention. Because one day, love will feel like peace. Until then, hold on to your faith. Hold on to your dignity. Hold on to yourself. Because at the end of every story, the one who stays true is the one who truly wins. And she didn't lose him. She found herself. And the story didn't end there, because some endings don't feel like endings at all. They feel like pauses. Long, heavy, suffocating pauses. Where the heart is still waiting for something that may never come. Days passed, but for her, time didn't move forward. It stayed stuck, in that one moment. When he chose silence over her. She tried to be strong. In front of the world, she smiled, she walked with grace, she held her head high, but inside she was falling apart in ways no one could see. Because the hardest battles are not fought in front of people. They are fought within. Every morning, she woke up with the same weight in her chest, that quiet question. Will today be different? And every night, she slept with the same answer. No. But still, she hoped. Because hope is cruel sometimes. It keeps you alive, even when everything inside you is tired. She began to understand something painful, yet real. You can love someone with all your heart, and still not be chosen. And that realization, it doesn't break you instantly, it slowly cracks you. Until one day, you don't recognize yourself anymore. She started remembering the small things, the way he used to look at her, like she was the only one in the room, the way his voice softened when he said her name, the way he once promised, "I will never let you feel alone." And now that same promise echoed like a lie inside her heart. But she didn't hate him. No, that would have been easier. She still loved him. And that's what made it harder. Because how do you let go of someone your heart still holds onto? She asked herself that 1,000 times, but never found an answer. So she turned her pain into patience. She stopped chasing, stopped asking, stopped expecting. Not because she didn't care anymore, but because she was tired of caring alone. And slowly, very slowly, she started choosing herself. At first, it felt wrong. Like she was betraying her own love. But then she realized, loving yourself is not betrayal. It's survival. She began to rebuild, piece by piece, her smile. Not for anyone else, but for herself. Her strength. Not to prove something, but to heal. Her faith. Stronger than ever before. Ya Allah. She whispered again one night, but this time, her voice was different. It wasn't trembling. It wasn't broken. It was calm. If he is not written for me, then remove his love from my heart, with mercy. Because she finally understood. Not every prayer is about holding on. Some prayers are about letting go. And that's when healing begins. She stopped looking at her phone every second. Stopped imagining scenarios that hurt her. Stopped questioning her worth. Because she realized her value was never dependent on him. She was always enough. She was always worthy. And the right love would never make her feel otherwise. Meanwhile, the world kept watching. People talked. They guessed. They created stories. But no one truly knew what she felt. Because real pain is silent. It doesn't need an audience. It just needs space to breathe. And maybe, just maybe, he felt it too. Not the same way, but somewhere, deep inside, maybe he knew what he lost. Because real love doesn't disappear. It stays, as a memory, as a regret, as a what if. That never leaves. But she stopped living in what ifs. She started living in what is. And what is, was simple, he didn't choose her. And for the first time, she accepted it. Not because it didn't hurt, but because she deserved peace. More than she deserved confusion. So she let go, not loudly. Not dramatically. But quietly, like the way she loved. And in that quiet letting go, she found something powerful. Freedom. Freedom from waiting. Freedom from overthinking. Freedom from a love that was no longer hers. And suddenly, the world felt different. Not empty, but open. Not painful, but peaceful. Because sometimes, losing someone is actually finding yourself. And maybe that was her destiny all along. Not to be his forever, but to become her own. So if you're still holding on to someone who no longer holds you, learn from her. Love deeply, but don't lose yourself. Wait, but don't forget your worth. And if the day comes when you have to walk away, do it with dignity. Because the strongest hearts are not the ones that never break, they are the ones that break, and still choose to heal. And her story, it didn't end in heartbreak. It transformed into strength. Because in the end, she didn't lose love. She outgrew it. And even after letting go, some feelings don't leave. They don't disappear, they just change their place. From your hands, to your heart. She had learned how to live without him, but not how to forget him. Because forgetting was never the goal. Acceptance was. And acceptance is strange. It doesn't erase memories, it just teaches you how to live with them. Some nights were still heavy. Not like before, not suffocating, but quietly painful. Like an old wound that no longer bleeds, but still aches. When touched by memories, she would sit by the window, looking at the sky, and wonder, does he ever think about me? Not with hope, not with expectation, just curiosity, because once upon a time, she was his world. And now, she was just a memory. But even memories have power. They visit you when you least expect them. In a song, in a place, in a simple moment that suddenly feels too familiar. And in those moments, her heart would whisper, you loved him truly. And for the first time, that truth didn't hurt her. It made her proud. Because not everyone gets to experience real love, even if it doesn't last forever. Meanwhile, life started giving her small reasons to smile again. not big moments. No dramatic changes, just little things. A peaceful morning. A genuine laugh. A moment of calm, where her heart didn't feel heavy. And she realized, healing doesn't come all at once. It comes in pieces. Slow, quiet, almost invisible. Until one day, you wake up, and the pain is no longer the first thing you feel. And that day it changes everything. She stopped asking, why did this happen to me? And started asking, what is this teaching me? Because pain is never meaningless. It either breaks you, or builds you. And she chose to rebuild. Stronger, wiser, more aware of her worth. She understood now. Love should feel like peace. Not anxiety. Not confusion. Not competition. And if it doesn't, then it's not love. It's attachment. And attachment can feel like love, but it slowly destroys you. She smiled one day, not because everything was perfect, but because she finally felt okay. Okay without him. And that okay was her biggest victory. Because there was a time she thought she couldn't survive without his presence. But here she was, breathing, living, healing, on her own. And somewhere, far from her world, maybe he paused too. Maybe he remembered her voice, her patience, her silent way of loving. Maybe he realized, not all love is loud. Not all love demands attention. Some love just stays. Quietly. Loyally. Without conditions. And maybe, that's the kind of love he lost. But she no longer waited for that realization. Because her story was no longer about him. It was about her. Her growth. Her strength. Her journey. And the way she turned pain into power. So she wrote again, but this time, her words were different. They didn't cry. They didn't beg. They didn't wait. They stood strong. I loved you, and that was real. But I choose myself now, and that is stronger. Because in the end, the greatest love story is not about finding someone else, it's about finding yourself. After losing everything. And she didn't just survive. She transformed into someone who no longer fears being alone, because she discovered she was never alone. God was always with her, guiding her, protecting her, healing her, even when she didn't understand why. So if your heart is hurting right now, if you feel like you've lost someone you can't replace, remember this, you are not losing your story. You are just turning a page. And sometimes, the next chapter is more beautiful than anything you left behind. Her journey continues, not as someone's choice, not as someone's option, but as her own priority. And that is where real peace begins.